All right, and 3, 2, 1. All right, welcome to Mediocre Brothers. I'm Jordan, your host, and the team, Corey, Edwin, and Udon. Today we'll be chatting about video game accessories, but before we start, please be sure to follow us on Spotify channel and like and subscribe on our YouTube channel to stay up to date with our upcoming episodes. It really helps us out. So let's go around with what we did for the week. Let's start with Corey.
I picked a bad time to eat an airhead. Yeah. I've been playing like a lot of classic games recently, coming off of Udon was just here visiting, and so we went out to do a lot of retro hunting and stuff like that, and we can kind of talk more about it, or I'm sure we'll bring it up because of the topic that we are going over today. We kind of came across something that was just wild as hell, but playing some Devil May Cry, played I beat Parasite Eve. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in the last time or if I was supposed to mention that, but I played through all of that. It was really fun. I had a good time with that game. I'd never played it before, so it's very inventive. I think that Square should pay attention to that game and kind of bring it back. I know that there's kind of mixed feelings about the later ones in that season or series, but I'm trying to find Parasite Eve 2. I know the internet exists and I can find it that way, but I mean, I'm hoping to find a deal or support like a local game shop, you know. That's more fun to me, I suppose, is just spotting it out in the wild. It's kind of how I found.
Gotta find your prey. That's the more fun part.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I found a few other things, but played a little bit of Vanguard Bandits, or not Vanguard Bandits. Maybe there's too many games. I mix it up with Vandal Hearts and Vanguard Bandits. So, Vagrant Story. You see, there's too many of those. So some of that, and started playing Space Marine 2, which is brutal and pretty fun.
But I need to spread the curse. If I'm addicted, the rest of you have to be too.
Yeah, but overall, a lot of gaming actually this week, so that was kind of fun. I'll pass it over to Udon.
Well, yeah. So I came up and visit you, which is kind of why we're a week late on recording, because we didn't have enough time while I was visiting you. And I've just been playing a fuck ton of Space Marine still, and aside from that, also playing Mario and Luigi Brothership. I finally started that. I'm having a lot of fun with that, actually. I haven't played one of those since Superstar Saga, so I actually haven't played any of them since the first one. It's pretty fun so far. Today I was outside most of the day because there was a big like Pokemon Go event with the wild area happening today, so there was a bunch of shit to do. So I went out, took a walk, went out too early before the event started, and I was like halfway through my walk before it actually started, and then I played it a little bit, and then like halfway through the day I'm like, I'm bored, and I went back outside and just kept walking more and playing it. Aside from that, I played a little. So I went and visited up Corey. You know, Edwin lives there too, so he gave me this game for Christmas, Fossil Fighters, which is interesting. That'll come up in a different episode next month. But I got into it a little bit. I haven't cracked into that one too much. It's always been a game I've liked or I've wanted to play. Aside from that, not a whole lot. I just keep wanting to play. Space Marine had to be physically removed from me when I had to go up to Corey's house, and it can't be in my vicinity for me not to play it right now. So, then as Corey said, we retro hunted, found a couple of cool things, and I tried a bunch of games over at Corey's house that I never touched, like Metroid Dread, and a lot more on the Switch, and a couple more on the PS3 that I did not like. Aside from, I played Dark Watch 2. That was fun. That was a nostalgia trip. But yeah, aside from that, we'll talk more as we get into this about the peripherals and stuff. But that's about it for me. So, Edwin, if you can talk between your coughs, what have you been doing?
Well, since you mentioned it's like just that I'm sick this time. Yeah, I've been kind of sick. It's not serious, so it's not like it's gonna keep me away from my regular daily things as also work, but like I've been just trying to get through Brothership because I have absolutely no idea how long this game really is. I feel like I'm somewhere in the halfway point. I don't know if there's like any extra stuff after the 4 Great Lighthouses, so that's just why I'm wondering is like how long this game really is, or if it just ends at the 4th one. But I'm kind of enjoying it, though I'm having like a similar problem that I had with Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, where there's like way too much fucking talking between like the adventure. So it's like a lot of downtime between me actually being able to do anything and just following these characters around and just a crap ton of dialogue. And
you can
so
hold
far,
down B to speed up cutscenes.
yeah, but I have to. It's just mashing it because just holding it down doesn't do anything. The cutscenes are the well, I mean the cutscenes are the faster part, but you can't speed up the dialogue. You just have to keep mashing it.
Hold down. You can hold down B and speed up the dialogue.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's not working for me. I have to keep mashing it just to get through everything. But so far, what is it? Bulbfish Island. That place just absolutely sucked. I hated it.
I'm kind of with you there. I've liked every other island, but that island suddenly like slowed everything down to a crawl, and I just plugged that island in, and I'm like, oh, thank God that's over. I hope the next one is going to be as boring.
Yeah, like everything I'm saying is because that island was like the worst island so far. Because
I literally had the same feeling. I was like, man, I was having fun with everything else because I liked Lots of Coins Island. I liked that one. That one was fun. But then you got to the Bulbfish, and it was just like solve a murder mystery or whatever. I'm just like, no, it's an RPG. Let me go stomp on some heads. Fuck this.
Yeah, it's just a lot more dialogue than I expected. But besides Brothership, I played a little bit of Space Marine 2. So there was a problem that I've had. So as I said before, I wanted to get Space Marine 2 on my computer because I didn't want to pay subscription on either of the consoles. And I realized that my computer cannot handle Space Marine 2 because the game crashed my computer entirely twice during the tutorial. So, yeah, my $3,000 computer from 2018 cannot handle it.
Well, that's from 2018. It's starting to get up there in years.
What's the graphics card?
GeForce 2060, which I looked on the Steam page and it's just like minimum requirements GeForce 2060. I'm like, fuck.
I was gonna say, like, that should be good. Like, I can play many things on a 1080 still. Maybe not that game.
Yeah, I was like, no, I assumed that my computer would be able to handle it, but I cannot. So then I have to go and get it on the Xbox instead. It was like, well, it's designed for Xbox. My Xbox should handle it.
No, it handles just fine on the like you turn to performance mode and the Xbox handles it just fine even when shit starts. I think very rarely I've ever had an issue with the game. I think the worst like glitch I've had is like sometimes when you do a execution, you have a small chance the camera just might lose its mind for like half a second, but then everything goes back to normal.
No, but I mean it's a really cool game. I just haven't gotten back to it because I was focusing too much on trying to progress in Brothership, and also I had to catch up on Zenless Zone Zero because I've been I think I put it off for like a week and a half since the new month started. So I was catching up on that. I was speeding through all the shit. It's just like a lot of fighting and a lot of dialogue skipping. It's just like it's the same thing with Brothership, but it's like if it's not main story stuff, I'm skipping it. Besides that, I don't think there's anything else that I played. Besides when you came over, we played what was it? Gauntlet Dark Legacy at Corey's house for a little bit.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. But besides all that, I have not played anything else. Jordan?
All right. Yeah. I myself have been strangely addicted to that trading card game Pocket, that Pokemon Pocket game for the phone. I have been on that just a lot. My kids actually got on it too, and they were actually enjoying it, but not as near as I was. I was really into it. I have not put any money towards it still, luckily, but I have gone through with just consistently battling people online, just random people, through that event challenge deal as well. I've beaten everything except for the expert. I'm working on those, trying to get all of the 5s on all of the different elements. The water, the electric, the psychic, the fighting, and all that stuff. So that's been taking up quite a bit of my time. I've been trying to figure out, real good decks with what I have, because obviously you can't build a strong deck if you don't have strong Pokemon. So I'm just trying to be strategic with what I have and hoping that I can do well enough to get through with them. I actually tested out the AI. It does do some good calls, and it does do a lot of bad calls. So
yes.
I actually beat one of my expert ones with, I believe it was with the fighting type, where they were asking you to fight with a psychic, and I just could not get it to do it. And I was just like, I just put it on auto, and I just like, I'm just gonna see what happens. And I fucking look at it, and it's like, you won. I was like, no fucking way. After I had so many times used it before, and I was like, this is stupid. The AI doesn't know what the fuck it's doing. It keeps pulling out dumbest cards. No, I just had a bad day, so I just clicked it on auto, and lo and behold, I actually got a completion done with that, and I was pretty happy about it. Tried it again a couple times because I was really sad, but it did not work. So I've been still working at it to try to get that going, and later today on this episode, we're all gonna pull a card, correct, out of our booster packs.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that at the end, but. Mainly, I've actually been playing another game that I got from Udon a while back ago. I won't talk much about that, but it's been a lot of fun. That's been basically the only thing I have been playing. I've been pretty busy this week, but like I said, I've been mostly being able to touch point on the trading card game, since again, it's in my pocket. I can pull it out and play it whenever I'm doing something that requires waiting. I can just play with that at the time being. So it's been nothing but that, basically, nothing much more than that. So since we are jumping on the video game accessories, I wanted to try to start off something a little bit fun and a little bit unique for controller wise. So I don't want us to talk about specifically on the best controller, but I want to talk about which you guys feel is the best or the most unique controller that was ever created out there by these video game companies like Sony or Nintendo and such. Which one do you think was the best for you, that you thought was very unique compared to other controllers, and why? Let's go ahead and start with Corey.
Ooh, most unique controller. I mean, my mind immediately jumps to 64, but because it is a very weird controller, because it has 2 different play styles that they bounce between, since they were pulling people from Super Nintendo over to the 3-dimension games, because I think there's still some 2D-esque games on there, but some games utilize the D-pad. Some of them want, if you're playing Mortal Kombat Trilogy, you're going to want to use the D-pad versus Mario Kart, where you're using the analog. Though the controller isn't really that it's not uncomfortable. It's just weird, and it fit better when you were a little kid playing it. I have a wireless 64 controller that's shaped more like a GameCube controller now, but I guess a close second to that would be the Dreamcast's controller, because it's just very round in shape, but it feels great to hold. And I didn't have a Dreamcast growing up. It was just something I kind of encountered later in life, but it's the divots for the grips on the Dreamcast controller just really nice, and it has this memory card that has a little screen on it. So if you're playing Resident Evil, it has your health bar, so you could see your status on the controller. So they were kind of doing that stuff way before everybody else was. So I think that's really neat. But I think just for the controller design overall is pretty clean, but the 64 is the one that's when you look at it, if you just show it to somebody, you're like, hey, look at this, and they're just what the hell is that for? Just because it's just
a weird sex toy.
Yeah, some kind of sex thing.
Socks off.
Yeah, but I guess that's my answer for the question.
I mean, if we're going with if I had to answer most unique off-branded control, off-brand is I think I know what the Power Glove was meant to you're supposed to use that as a replacement for the controller for the NES, weren't you? Because it like you just stuck the controller onto the glove or something like that.
Well, the controller was the glove. Like it had all the buttons on the back of it, and
Yeah,
I think they had a power glove at one of those retro stores that we were at. But I don't think I can get my hand in there now. It doesn't at least look like I could.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about like something that's not a mainstream controller, that would be my answer. Because I mean, the thing is fucking wild. It's a glove you put on your hand, and you're like pressing buttons like you're playing Helldivers or something, and you're gonna play fucking Zelda and Mario like that. I'm just like, no wonder this never took off. I mean, in general, if we're just talking about like mainstream controllers, I would have to say like. Not in terms of uniqueness, but like I've always felt that the Xbox 360 controller, like more or less, like not perfected, but has been the close to like the perfect gaming controller. Because I just feel like there's something about the offset of the control sticks that fits more comfortably in people's hands than the like the control sticks being parallel to each other. Same thing with like how the triggers and the bumpers are placed compared to a PlayStation controller. But that's just in terms of just like how easy it is to use, but my uniqueness would definitely go to the Power Glove because its whole purpose was to be a replacement to your controller. Because it was like, it's cool, it's a glove, and I'm like, it's like that looks like the most like I don't know, unwieldy thing to use to play a video game.
There was an entire TV show or something about it too.
It was a movie. I think it was a movie. I forgot what movie it was, but if anyone wants to look that up really quick, but there was a movie where like the main character had to like compete in a tournament or something, and the prize was like the Power Glove or some shit. It wasn't like the main purpose of the movie, but it was like kind of like the motivation for the character, I guess. I don't remember what the fuck that movie was called, but I'll pass it off to Edwin. I'm gonna look it up actually.
I was gonna assume it was like, oh, it was like a Scott Pilgrim thing, but that show's like weird entirely. Or movie.
No, way older.
Yeah, damn. I was like, I never really knew. It was like, I looked at the Power Glove, and I was just like, I have absolutely no idea how the hell you're supposed to use this thing. It just kind of reminds me of like, when in the Sonic movie, the live action Sonic movie, it's just like Dr. Robotnik is just like has the controllers on like his hand or his wrist, and he's just like moving his fingers like making shadow puppets or something, but he's pressing buttons. That's kind of what I assumed it would work like.
The time for talking is over. Yeah. It's time to press buttons.
Yeah. So did Nintendo. They also assumed it was going to work like that. And anybody that bought one.
It was called The Wizard, 1989. It's an hour and 40-minute long movie.
Hour and 40 minutes? They squeezed that long? Holy smokes.
That is not the name of a movie that would have a Power Glove in it, but whatever.
It's definitely video game related, based off this fucking the title, the fucking the movie
box
poster.
Art. Yeah,
box art. That's the word I was looking for.
But besides the N64, I was also thinking about that one, but I don't know if it does feel kind of weird. It kind of feels like an Xbox controller, but it's just like kind of like very square-like is the Dreamcast controller. It's just oversized for like a controller. I think it's like one of the biggest, but it's just like so square and like so large. But it did have the memory card goes on the controller instead of the actual console, and then you could also like take it out and put it on like a Tamagotchi type of thing, and just carry it around with you and play with whatever it is you install on there.
Yeah, didn't the controller have like a screen on it as well? Wasn't there like some sort of square screen?
For what, the Dreamcast?
Yeah.
Like Puzzle Fighter.
That was wild, because when you showed me that, Corey, you showed how you control the memory card with the controller. I was like, how old is this thing? I was like, God damn, this is crazy for something this old.
Yeah, Sega really like found it way too late, honestly.
Way too early.
They'd shoveled like the CD and the Saturn out there, and then they finally landed on the Dreamcast, and it was like, man, you guys put out too many consoles too soon.
Yeah.
Jordan?
I mean, for me specifically, I think the Wii was a very unique controller. I mean, it was just weird from the, being a regular base controller that we were having, like, you know, going from your Super Nintendo, your Super Nintendo, your GameCube, and all that. They basically were getting more buttons as we were going along the way, and then all of a sudden we hit with the Wii, and then it's a nunchuck with some stick in your hand. You're like, what the hell is this? And it's got a pointer with heat sensor. You know, you're trying to point it at the little detector thing, so you can be able to swing your device around to be able to make games more immersive than they once were. So it was a little bit of touch of like a little bit of the VR sense of moving and being interactive with the gaming at the same time of playing an actual game itself in general with being on the screen. So it was kind of intense for me. I didn't know it was going to play off well because I remember I had a lot of hate for that when it came out. I remember when Corey was getting it, you know, we were waiting at the store and such, and I was just like, this thing's gonna fall. It's not gonna be a good game. I don't see anything happening with the system. It's gonna be a piece of shit. And then I ended up playing a lot of it with him. It was kind of funny though with the Red Steel, of course. That was a hilarious game. Did not work out too well, but man, did I play the shit out of the Wii Sports. I was playing the shit out of the golf, the tennis, the bowling, all that crap, and I was just like, I need to take back what I said about it because it was definitely unique. I just did not think that it was going to happen because, again, it was coming back, and it was very late in the time of when I was getting myself involved to believe that it was happening because I was very heavily into the PlayStation side, so it was just like, you know, I was going with the PS3. Wii was going to be just a waste of my time. I wasn't going to want to do anything with it because I was just thinking more about graphics at the time. Graphics was more of my importance back then versus gameplay, so I didn't really care too much about it. I just knew that it was not going to be able to pull off a lot of actual, like, you know, resolution as it would be compared to the others, which you had your 360 and your PS3 at the time. So those were the titans of my time that I was really involved with. So I did not pay too much attention to the Nintendo, but after I saw that come to play and eventually seeing him playing the Zelda Twilight Princess and all that, seeing the speaker with the sounds coming through it with the swing of the sword and such, I was just like, wow, this shit is really crazy, like how it was actually pulling off really well. And of course it sold a shitload of units, so obviously it was not just Corey that enjoyed it. Apparently there was a lot of others that were also involved with wanting to purchase it because it sold out tremendously, and it was always sold out. Couldn't fucking get one for the longest time. But, you know, that to me was the most unique because everything, again, was just like a regular controller. You put your hands on it, you do it. But this was, in fact, two separate deals where you were swinging around, had it connected to each other, had to point it at something at the same time. So it was revolving a lot of things, a lot of mechanics in order for you just to be able to play a particular game. And I know if anybody tried to emulate, do it that way, they come across a lot of problems with it because, again, of all the accessories involved with it. So it's very difficult to mimic the gameplay of it unless you actually have the physical Wii game system. So for the second one for everybody is, now we're going to be just getting into regular controllers in general, just whether it be from the company, whether it be off-brand, whatever. What do you guys prefer more as, I guess, when you're using your controller? Do you guys prefer it being a wireless or wired? Why is that? Let's go ahead and start with Corey.
I mean, wireless for sure. I mean, I've always preferred wireless. Now, I know that there's people that like talk about input lag and blah blah blah. Like if you're like a purist, specifically like Smash Brothers or something like that, if there's any sort of like, or fighting games in general, like competitive fighting, but like this distance from the TV, it's, I guess, if like in your room as a kid, it's not so bad. Like especially GameCube because those cables were like 3 feet long. But like I shared the picture of us playing, Dark Alliance or whatever, and like I had to scoot all the cords to get the GameCube to be like right next to the couch so everybody can grab a controller. But the wireless is always nice because you can kind of play more comfortably, and you don't have people tripping over the cord and pulling the console off the top of your dresser.
Or you have animals or dogs with curly tails that fucking grabs it and rips it right off.
Yeah. So, yeah, wireless for sure. I mean, even for my retro consoles, I've went online and purchased like $20 wireless controllers. I have one for GameCube. I have one for 64. And it just makes it more convenient to like retro game comfortably, for me at least. I mean, I don't mind wired controllers, but
well, here's the thing: it's like we just live in a world where wired controllers
Yeah.
are obsolete, and not just because wireless is such an accessible option, but because back in the day with the older consoles, like we had much smaller televisions, so we were much closer to the TV. So having a wired controller really wasn't that big of a deal. But then, as time went on and TVs became bigger and bigger and bigger. We had to keep pushing them farther and farther back from us on the couch, lest we, melt our eyeballs. And then wireless controllers became more and more of a thing. Because I personally don't mind. In fact, I kind of like wired controllers simply for the fact I don't have to remember to switch out its batteries or anything like that. I don't have to go cannibalize the TV remote. But it's just the fact of the matter is just like today our televisions are so big and the consoles are so far away from us that having a controller with a cord that long is really like awkward to use because I mean, even admittedly back in the day, I mean, of course, I would agree with Corey. I think anyone would agree that wireless is just more accessible for the reasons you provided. Because even when I had my GameCube, I loved my Wavebird controller that was wireless. I went out of my way to go find another one when I started playing my GameCube again, so I could have my wireless controller back. But it's just a thing nowadays because I'm probably going to do the same thing that Corey does. I'm probably going to get that like third party N64 controller that's a wireless controller. Since my N64, I have all the retro consoles hooked up with HDMI converters on a bigger television, so I can't be that close. And it's like even the cords are slightly bigger, but it's like they just reach where I'm sitting, and I'm like I can't move in any particular fashion, or I'm going to launch this thing off the table. So I mean, I obviously my answer is wireless controllers, but it's just kind of an evolution thing at this point when it came to gaming. I did want to touch on just briefly. You were saying how you didn't think the Wii was going to sell, and like obviously people liked it. I mean, the idea behind the Wii remote was the fact that Nintendo / Miyamoto was like, everybody knows how to use a TV remote. The general, even old people know how to use a TV remote, so they modeled it after a TV remote, so the general public had a much easier time. Like like the Wii did well because it did well with all the people who didn't play video games, like especially the older audience. Even if all they did was buy the Wii and then only played like Wii Sports on it or whatever,
right?
Because so many of the general audience, it worked. Like the idea worked is that people saw it as like, oh, it's a remote control. It has like 3 buttons on it or whatever. I can get behind this. Yeah, generally, I don't really care for the Wii remote because I kind of find it like elite. But obviously, I play, for what it's made for. Wii Sports, it's great, but I hate playing Smash Brothers with that nunchuck.
I always made sure to buy whatever pro controller they have is. Even like for the Switch, I have a pro controller. The Wii U, I got that pro controller because it's shaped like a 360 controller and it's just easy to use. And then, the weird part is they have those, but then they threw all the GameCube controllers at everybody who wanted it because they like Smash Brothers and they tend to cry very hard about it.
But yeah, that'll be my answer. So, Edwin, what do you think?
I'm not really sure.
I'm just kidding.
Wrong.
I mean the Wii remotes. I mean, I kind of like them, but I did see like a lot of hate on the internet for them because like when you like get off of work, you don't want to like start swinging your arms around. You want to play something to chillax, which is like one of the reasons like I kept seeing hate for Skyward Sword. Is like I don't want to swing my arms around just to play this game, but it was like I want to play Zelda. But it is one of the weirdest games. I kind of agree with you on that. Not really much to add for that one, though.
But do you prefer wireless or wired for your controller?
I kind of like wireless, but I do understand the wired like input connection.
Is it really is it really noticeable anymore? I mean, has anybody actually found that there actually is still quite a bit of lag? I thought it was that we're kind of now gotten to that point where it's almost you can't even tell the difference.
Yeah, I think it's game by game primarily because I remember when I was at Corey's house and I was trying, I was replaying Dark Watch. we had it finally going on the PS3 playing the PS2 game, and holy fuck the input lag. But I kind of chalked that up to the PS3 just being weird about it. But when I got Dark Watch myself, part of the things I bought when we were retro game hunting up there, I brought it home and tried it. Still works, but there's still input lag, but I think that's a game-based thing. I mean, like Corey said, you're only really going to notice it for the purists out there. Really, like I only notice input lag when it's like especially egregious, like online play or something. But I'm sure like professionals that like really know how fast this should be happening would probably have a better idea about it than I would.
I'm pretty sure it's like the same thing where it's like a wired and wireless like internet connection. Yeah. But it's like every time I go to Corey's house and I have to like use his controllers because I forgot mine to like, well, for example, playing Brothership or playing Mario or Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door when I was still playing it. And I go over to Corey's house and I kind of borrow his controllers, his Pro controller to actually play. It's wireless, but I missed nearly every single action command for both of those games because the wireless connection was not good enough. I'm not really sure if it's his controller or just because it was wireless, but I always had to like go to like connect them both to each other just so I can actually like have like good input on that. So I'm not sure if its controller is broken or if it's just like the wireless connection.
Corey?
Like that does happen.
Oh boy,
I'm being attacked here.
I mean, it does happen. There's like a lot of things when I'm like looking up guides for like achievements or something. It says, for the love of God, if you want to keep your sanity, do everything with like a wired controller so you don't miss the input buttons. Because the last time I had to do something like that was for Brothership for like that 100. That 100 like
volleyball
juggle thing. Yeah, the volleyball like bounce thing. You
what do you get for that, by the way?
You get some. I think you get some beans to like.
Oh, fucking kill me!
No. You get some beans, but you also get one of the two things that you can only get in the game.
You get some Uncle Ben's.
You get the Lucky, I think it's like a Lucky Charm DX, which is like a powered up version that makes it so you get Lucky Chance ×2. So it's like you just get the yeah. I mean,
I was hoping you just left it at beans primarily because of fucking the second flight up to North Carolina. I was like, I did the mini game when I first got on the plane, and it was like, try to get to 100. And I'm just like, well, that means I have to get to 100 then, don't I? Still didn't have that shit done by the time I landed. I was just doing that for like an hour. It was driving me nuts. And I'm like, you know what? I bet the reward's not even good anyways.
I looked it up to see if it was worth it. I was like, fuck. It was like, it's probably going to be worth it later on. But so far, I'm like getting lucky strikes like every other hit. So it's like, it's paying off now, but only like when I'm like level 25 and like my lucky stat is like high enough, which is the stash stat. But it's like there's like weaker versions, like like the chances of you getting a lucky strike is 1.5, and like the DX charm of the same thing is ×2, so you just like twice the luck. But I was like, I don't know, that's really up to you if you want to use it, because you can only have one charm and one glove on Mario and Luigi. So if you want to waste a spot on just a lucky chance, that's up to you. So
all right, well, now I have to decide whether or not I want to waste more of my time.
I guess one quick thing about wired and wireless that kind of is like a me problem, of course, is
broken controllers.
When I'm playing when I'm playing Dark Souls or Elden Ring and I'm fighting a boss and that your controller's about to die, pops on the screen
yeah. Move! Get the fuck out of the way! Move!
Oh, shit.
Mine's the smart TV. Your eyes are straining. Maybe you want to turn it off. Maybe I don't. Get this shit on my face. I'm gonna die.
Xbox is nice because Xbox is like, your controller's about to die. I'm like, oh, cool. So I have about 30 seconds before my controller dies. Thanks for the warning, asshole.
T-minus 30.
Yeah.
No, for PlayStation, it was like I had that issue so many times. It's like I was like, oh, my controller's dying, but I got to finish this boss fight. 3 boss fights later, oh, I did it. And it was like, then my controller dies. Like, Oh, right, it was dying.
It's been such a problem that like my friend noticed, and she bought me a charger like station for my controllers because like they would always just be dead, and I may as well have been playing wired connection because I have like a 9-foot plug cable to get to the PlayStation so that I can keep the battery charged in my hands. But so it's like now I can actually like juggle them. I had a charger for controllers before, but you know I have cats that are crazy and they freaking knocked it over and broke it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you also have cats that 2 of them like chewing on wires.
Well, one of them really likes to eat plastic. Like he just likes to eat plastic. He was chewing through umbrella cover, like teeth. It looked like a cartoon bite out of the middle of it, and he just was staring at me, just eating it. Like, hey, what the hell are you
proud
doing?
of me, Father? I
need my microplastics, Father.
I ate the plastic so you don't.
I'm just like you now, Father. I think the real question actually is whether people prefer fucking rechargeable controllers or just battery-driven controllers, because holy fuck, the fucking PS5 controller dies in like a day. Like, I don't have a lot of days now where like I can just game from like morning till night. But when I do, if my Xbox controller is starting at a full charge with my 2 batteries, just like 2 rechargeable, think like I have like, I don't know, fucking Duracell or whatever, but it can last all day and then some. Like from like a 12, 15-hour gaming session will be fine. But the fucking PS5 controller dies in like 8 hours. Not even that. It feels like it dies so much faster. I literally bought another PS5 controller strictly for the purpose, like if I decided to have like a sit down day, like once it dies, I can plug that one in and go grab the other controller to keep playing because it won't last me all day.
Literally purchasing a sidearm is what you're doing, because that's exactly what I got them for.
Yeah, exactly. In the basic bitch cord you get for the PS5 is like a foot long, so you have to plug it in and just leave it there.
Yep.
Whereas like the Xbox controller, I've been so trained that's like controller's down, like get up, run over to the recharge station, grab 2 batteries, like do the whole fucking like the fucking Marcus Phoenix action reload in like half a second, and I'm just so well trained and like, well, there you go, full charge again, and I just have the other 2 batteries on recharge backup. I just find the battery. I wish I could find a PS5 controller that ran on batteries, but no, they all have to be fancy and they all have to be just rechargeable controllers. It'll suck ass.
Yeah, and they gotta have like the correct amount of voltage, or they don't charge your damn thing. So I remember I was like, oh, I found one, a USB-C. I can plug my controller and just let it charge while I'm playing. And then I took it off and unhooked it because my other one was ready to die, and I found out the fucking thing didn't even charge. I was like, oh, that's sweet. So I can't even play at all. Thanks. And so, they got the limited space now because obviously they just believe that, hey, the more higher advanced the console, the less USBs that you need for your devices. I don't know why that makes sense, but, whatever. I put on a wireless headset and now I have nothing to charge my headset with. I'm going to charge my controllers. So it's like, do I either want to talk to people online or just become a mute and then have everything fucking just plugging in my controllers, because I can't choose both. I don't get that option, but it is what it is. The accessories of having to have a portable or some sort of charge on the side to charge your controllers is definitely the most ideal sense to have. I just haven't gotten one yet, but those are definitely the ones to have for sure, because your controller dies, you're done. It basically shuts you off. You can't play anything.
Yeah. Not to mention the fucking Switch Pro controller. That thing's battery lasts forever. Like, I haven't tested like what its limits are, but I feel like if I did a whole it lasts like 2 whole days, I swear. But that's about it for I think we've reached the end of wireless versus wired.
So I guess my next question for everybody would be is which console, whether it be a portable console or a regular console, which one do you think that you guys have actually invested most accessories toward? Meaning, like, you have to have adapters, you have to have headsets, controllers for a specific console. Which one do you think you guys threw most of your accessories towards to be able to play as much as you can of those games?
Game Boy Advance?
I think. I mean, it's a weird toss-up for me because, like, I would say Game Boy Advance because I had a bunch of weird stuff for it, like the magnifying glass and all that crap. But
GameCube too, man.
I think that I think the Game Boy was like gifts, I guess. But if I'm personally investing, I did spend a ton of money on PlayStation 3 specifically to have a 3D TV, get the motion controllers, get that stupid gun thing that they made for it, and then I played Killzone in 3D for like 3/4 of the game with the motion controls, and I was like, this is the coolest way to play video games. Everyone's going to be doing this. And then I finally was like, shit. You start to, it just all starts crumbling beneath you when you're like, well, my 3D glasses battery died, and this is a really hard boss fight to do with motion controls, and maybe if I just play this one time with the controller, and I'm like, this is so much better. What was I fucking doing? It was a cool experience, but like buying the 3D TV, getting all that other stuff.
Weren't those eyeglasses like $150 a piece?
Yeah, $150 a piece, and
Jesus.
Your TV only comes with 2 of them because they're like, yeah, families, right? There's only 2 people in a family. I don't even know where to buy them anymore. Yeah, it's like, I don't even know where you would get more of those glasses. And the thing that was weird to me is like, I was like, why don't they just do the TVs like the 3DS screen? But, that's neither here nor there. But I spent a lot of money on the PlayStation because I also had the webcam thing, so I could play Eye of Judgment. And I had light guns for it, so I could play Time Crisis. PlayStation 3 is where I basically was playing all of my like weird extra plug-in stuff. But like the handheld, my Game Boy had like the little swirly light on it, so I could see it in the car, or basically have an attached glare device.
Yeah.
I can see.
It's like I can technically see. I went from being able to see nothing to be able to see about 20% of what the screen is.
Yeah, because once I got an SP, I was like, well, I don't need anything for this. Yeah. I'm just gonna use this. I mean, I know they had that weird like grip thing that you can plug the SP in, but then I can't put it in my pocket.
Yeah,
I like the SP.
My first answer was the Advance, but when Jordan said GameCube, I was like, yeah, I guess I didn't give that one enough credit because I do have the because as a Game Boy Advance, the first thing that came to mind is I too use the horrible flashlight attachment, and but I also had the e-reader when that came out, the card reader for the Game Boy Advance. I had that never took off, but I had that for it, and I think I literally only used it for like the Pokemon cards that you can get like little mini games for. I think it's literally the only thing I ever ended up using it for.
Yeah, because the reason why I brought up the GameCube one from Corey's side is because you had the actual Game Boy Advance connector when you could play it on, so you could see it on your TV. You had the adapters for the four swords. You had all that crazy stuff, and then you had the online thing to play online. The attachment for the GameCube, like there was a lot of stuff for just that thing alone that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and like for the Game Boy Advance, obviously I had a link cable for Pokemon trading, and
yep.
I had the same thing. Thank God I kept it because I don't think the actual like, because with the Game Boy Advance player on the GameCube you need the dock, but you also need the disc to like run it. I think the disc is what's worth money nowadays, not the dock itself, since the dock is useless without the disc.
Yeah, I think the disc by itself is like $80.
Yeah, thank God I kept a hold of that. But I have that. I had four of the Game Boy Advance hookups for each slot of my GameCube. I guess technically speaking, you can count Game Boy Advance /SP itself as a GameCube peripheral because you needed them to play. Right. I got all that shit to play Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. That was what I used that shit for.
Yeah.
And I guess since it's a necessity, I suppose you could count them as peripherals themselves. So I guess my answer would change to the GameCube technically. I'm not too much in the peripherals. I think I just kind of like the e-reader thing. I don't even know how I bought that. I think someone might have bought that for me for like Christmas or something, just because it was like a thing for the Game Boy and they knew I played my Game Boy a lot. So, but stuff like the Game Boy player, it all comes back to Pokemon every time. Because I'm like, I want to play Pokemon Ruby on the television. That's cool. I think that's about it though. And then obviously, like I said, Crystal Chronicles I really liked as a game and I wanted my friends to play. And it's like, you need like 18 different accessories just to be able to play more than one person on this game designed for more than one person. I'm just like, cool. Thanks, Nintendo. /
take my money.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I think that's about it for me because I never bought into like PlayStation Move or Kinect or anything like that. I never did any of that for like more modern systems. I never really bought into those. It was just early Nintendo products.
Edwin, did you have any that you had to invest quite a bit of accessories towards?
Well, for home consoles, you don't really need as many. Maybe like a good headset and maybe like an extra controller. But like the TV and like I don't know, maybe a stereo or system or something would be necessary. But it was mostly on the it's like one thing I wanted to point out for the Wii is like the Wii had like so many different games, like motion and not motion control, but it also came with like the nunchuck and then like the Pro controller and all that other weird stuff that you had to connect to the Wiimote in order for it to connect to the Wii. So that's like those types of weird things. But when it comes to like portable, like for the Switch that I have, you for like the portable stuff, you would always need more preferably you would want like a carrying case or something just to protect it from like dropping or to like hold all your games or stuff. But like for all my portable stuff, like I always had like get a carrying case for them, and then like also those game cartridges and stuff. But also for the Switch, since you could play it for a very long time and the battery's not the greatest, I did get like a battery bank just to like charge it on the go, just so it lasts longer.
Oh, that was something that happened to me on the fucking plane, by the way. On the way back from North Carolina, I was on the second plane, and my Switch was at like 30%, and we were like starting our descent for the final plane. I was like, okay, so I should have plenty of time. By the time we land, I'll be at like 20 or 10, whatever. It doesn't matter. I won't be dead yet. But then I'm playing Brothership, and then suddenly it flashes like the dead battery thing on my screen and shuts off. I was like, what the fuck? And I turn it back on. It's like, no, I have 30%. I'm like, so you're not dead. And I turned it back on again, and then 5 seconds later, I was like, no, I'm dying. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you piece of shit? And it was just like, every single time, like, I had to struggle to get Mario over to a save point, because I only had like 5 seconds between each like opportunity before the Switch was like, no, I'm dying. And I'm just like, you have 30% battery. The fuck is wrong with this fucking stupid ass system?
It's like you're arguing with an elementary kid. You're dead. No, I'm not. Yes, you are.
See, except it's the opposite. It's like, you're not dead. Yes, I am. I'm dead. I'm dying.
I literally had that exact same problem with my old Xbox controller, but because I had a defective battery pack in the back, it was like, I'm throwing that shit away.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if my Switch is getting old, because my Switch is like literally, I got it on release day, so mine is like an OG Switch, so I'm wondering if it's just starting to show its age or something. But that really annoyed me. I had to bring that up. But if you had to, if you were expanding it into like like stuff that you're not like directly plugging into the console, I too had like a tiny backpack with like all my DS/Game Boy stuff that I usually carried around when I was ever on a plane or something like that, because you had to, because otherwise, how are you going to carry all your fucking cartridges and all your SD cards and whatnot? Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. Mine has just was the probably the PlayStation at the time, just because I had many issues with, I guess, the system breaking. Because like I was talking about before, that little joke that I made a little bit earlier about the curly tail. So not really curly tail, but it was just the obnoxious dog that I had. Was really enjoying the fact that when you were ready to play and everything was wired, he would just love to just run and yank and pull the damn cord, which would rip the PlayStation right off the wall and then just explode into pieces. And, that was a good $400, $450 a piece. So it'd be like, all right, sweet. Got to go back to the store and go get another one, which was not overnight. It obviously took a while to get it again. And then it would happen again. It was just like, okay, now the dog is out and about. That thing is not to be turned on. That dog is to be put somewhere else or whatever, or we're not having it. So that was obviously add a lot of investment into that game console. And then, which was really funny too, because at a point in time, I was really into driving games, specifically Gran Turismo. I know a lot of people, maybe even not a lot of people were crazy it was as I was back then, but my father was trying to get all the cars, and it was funny because there was actually somebody, and I don't know who it was, but apparently he found somebody that was willing to sell I can't remember how much space at the time, because those those memory cards did not hold a lot of memory, and there was basically this like very high def kind of with a lot more space than the average card did. It was very expensive. At the time, I believe he paid $105 for a memory card, and it had like 40 different spot placements that you could put all your saves on. So it was like way more space on it than the average card was. So he was just racking up whatever we could for just memory of games that we played. But he was using it specifically to give it to this gamer and paid them to get all of the achievements, because apparently it was like they were really good at the game, and he paid the kid or guy or whatever and gave it back to us, and I think we had like $1 billion of money, and then we had all of the cars, and so we were playing all of it, and eventually we got tired of it. But it was just like we put a lot of money into the memory card, we put a lot of money into the actual controllers, because when they were having the regulars without the rumble feature, they didn't have the actual analogs at the time. And then when they were pursuing to get closer to PS2, then we started getting the actual analog sticks. Then it was just starting to get more with the controller for fighting games. I actually bought one of those when I was playing Tekken, so I actually had the fighting pad and such with the stick and the 4 big ass buttons, for doing that. So I actually put a lot of money into the PS1 itself. All the other ones, it was just basically, your 2 controllers and then your headset, or just some sort of adapter if it was needing to be that you needed to connect something to it. It was pretty basic stuff. It wasn't too crazy, but it was the PS1 that I knew that I put a lot of investment in. So I guess the next question I had for everybody is, so as you're going in with future consoles, for a lot of us, if not for a lot of us, but just for some of us, maybe aesthetics is something of it, that you just want it to look really nice, really cool design of a console. Do you guys feel that has anything really that you find is important to you when you're looking at a new future console, or are you more invested in just what it can provide? Do you want it to look cool as well? I'm just asking. Let's go ahead and start with Corey.
I mean, like aesthetics, I don't really care, but like my whole thing, I guess, like when I was first starting out, it was like, can I stack these on top of each other? Because I don't have a lot of space. But now it's kind of like the PS5 is huge, and it's a really weird shape, and you kind of can't lay it on its side unless you have that stupid plastic stand that's just like basically a wedge. And
it is not very, doesn't feel very stable to me, because yours is vertical, mine is horizontal. And back in the days when Sony could afford to package that with the console, it took me forever just to figure out how to put it down. But yeah, it's like I'm like, I really hope this is actually holding it up, and I'm not just gonna like brush by this and it's gonna like flip on its side.
Isn't it like $20 just to buy an extra one?
I think so, because like you get one, and then I didn't even know how to use it properly. I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna put this thing vertical. Who cares? Like, it just looks like a giant Wi-Fi router. I like the design of it. Honestly, it's kind of cool. It's like kind of futuristic. But like, the 64 I think looks cool. But I have like the green one, so it has a nice little presence. The Switch is very like minimal and neat. The Ally, it's not that. It kind of looks like my Switch because it's just I have the OLED white Switch. There is like some designs, I guess, like there's the PlayStation 1 and then the PSX. The PSX is like really tiny, and I kind of like the way that the PS1 looks because that's just like the classic look of it. There's the same thing for a Super Nintendo. They have like a smaller, more compact one, and I just don't really like the way that one looks because it just looks cheap, I guess. And PlayStation 3 has another like weird design, not the Slim, but there's like another version of the Slim that just really looks like a knockoff PS3, I guess. But I don't know, like simplicity. It's more about performance for me, and if it's going to like melt, because I'm hoping they're doing a good job with the heatsink, which is apparently what the PlayStation 5's design is based around. Is this like crazy heatsink system that they have to make sure that it doesn't fucking melt? Because the PS4, man, when I was playing God of War, that thing sounded like it wanted to fly.
The gods call me. I must join them.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, ultimately, I don't think, like, the looks of a console really fucking matter at all. It is going to affect people's first impressions of it. I mean, I like things to look nice on my shelf because Lord knows the Xbox Series X is just a fucking box, which I guess isn't false advertising, but it's not very appealing looking. The PS5 is definitely like more appealing looking, and I don't know. I guess I don't take aesthetics much into account. I just like, what can it do though? I'm like, it could look like the most ugliest thing on the face of the planet, but if it can run things really well or it has a bunch of good games on it, whatever. Ultimately, I can just like put it behind the coffee table or something if I don't want to look at it, I guess. But
put another console in front of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you got a paper bag over your console?
Yeah, with a smiley face.
I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't really have much thoughts about it. It's like I like things to look nice, I suppose, but it's what's on the inside that matters, not what's on the outside.
Well, I think a neat thing though is I don't know. It's neat. I don't really care so much, but it's kind of cool that they do it. It's the like Switch will release like a Monster Hunter version or a Pokemon version, and like PlayStation has done a God of War PlayStation 4 and a Destiny version and stuff, and those are kind of neat. But like, it sucks because I'm not the type of person that buys another console because there's like one that has like glitter on it now, and
yes, you do.
Because I know like people buy like DSs. That's like a huge thing for like Game Boys in general. Is like the different Game Boys that come out every time like a Pokemon game releases or something. But I mean, that's a neat concept. But I usually get consoles at launch anyways, so or at least I try to. So whatever the base model is, that's the one I usually end up with. So
yeah, because it's my Xbox One, which they have gotten really lazy with special edition consoles, by the way. But I'm with you because like I have bought a couple special edition consoles, but it's always been in like the context of like there's something happened to my old console, so I'm like, well, I'm gonna get a new one anyways. Might as well get the cool one, I guess, because I had an original 360. It red ringed, and then I got that fixed. But then even after it red ringed, it started having other issues until it finally crapped out on me. And Halo Reach was coming out, and they had a special Halo Reach Xbox which by the way, the Halo Reach Xbox fucking cool as shit. I still have it. Because when you hit the power button, it made the sound of like your shields recharging in Halo, which was super fucking cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is
exactly. Cool. It's fucking cool. And I don't remember what the sound effect was, but it had a separate one for when you open the disc tray too. But I don't remember which one that one was. But that's like a really cool.
No.
What? But that was really cool, and I literally bought it because it was like, oh, Halo Reach is coming out. Might as well get the Halo Reach Xbox to replace my old one. And in fact, I guess it was funny because Halo Reach came out when I was still in middle school, I think. And me and Tim both put our pre-orders into GameStop, and a part of my pre-order was the console itself. And so my mother lived out where the GameStop was, and so after it came out like a Friday, Tim was going to come over, just going to play fucking Halo.
Ace of Mountain Dew.
Yeah, exactly. Good old, me and him were going to hang out and just have 72 hours of fucking Halo Reach until it was time to go back to school. And I guess when my mother went and picked all of it up, and the people at GameStop were just like, you spent so much money between buying the consoles and 2 copies of the games, you can just have like this like standee of like the game case essentially they were using for like promotion materials they just gave to her. I think it got damaged and lost now, but I just thought that was funny. But and then the second time it happened was when I had my DS in college. And I had my DS, I had a 3DS, it broke. And then, so when that one broke, I bought the special, like, Pokemon X and Y version of the 3DS. And I was like, all right, that's cool. And then me and my dumbass I was playing it, and I go to the kitchen, and I go to get something in the freezer. And usually when I did it, because I would always have my DS on me. I was playing it all the time. So when I brought it to the kitchen with me, I put it on top of the refrigerator while I opened it. Except this time I didn't put it on top of the refrigerator. I put it on top of the freezer door without me noticing. So when I went to open the freezer door, I just sent it careening to the other side of the kitchen and smashed it into oblivion on the other side. I was like, well, shit. And But then I was like, well, it's like 2 years later, and Pokemon Sun and Moon are out, so I guess I'll get the Pokemon Sun and Moon version of the 3DS XL or the new 3DS XL because they kept having to add more shit to the title of every single 3DS. But then I got that, and that's the one I still have now. But then when I got an Xbox One, because I originally got a PS4, and then because when they released the consoles, all my friends were like, we got together at school and we were like, all right, guys, so PS4 versus Xbox One, what are we getting? Because we were all 360 guys, but we didn't hate the PlayStation, and they were like, oh, PS4 looks way better. PS4 looks way better. I'm like, all right, so we're gonna get PS4s, right? And I get a PS4. And everyone else gets an Xbox. I'm like, what the fuck, man? I thought we had an agreement. And
you broke the sacred bond, you bastards.
So I was like late to the party, and when I eventually got my Xbox One, I got like the Battlefield 1 edition. Again, just because I don't even like Battlefield all that much. But all that is like a slightly more like darker green Xbox than usual. Like it was like military fatigue green instead of just like normal green. I don't even remember what the regular Xbox looked like, but that was it. It was just green. I was just like, there was no markings on it to even indicate it was like it had anything to do with Battlefield other than just being green. I was like, man, this sucks. I looked over my fucking Halo Reach one. I'm just like, that's so much better, man. What the fuck happened to like special consoles?
Hey,
that's my tirade on that.
There you go, Edwin. What about yourself?
So I never really like cared for like the special edition. Shut up. I never really cared for like the special edition ones because it's just like it was like I'm gonna be playing games on the thing. It was like I'm not gonna be staring at the console like just looking at it in amazement. It's gonna be what's providing me. I'm gonna be looking at in amazement. So it's like it's obviously gonna be like what's inside of it than how it looks, but. It's like a lot of times people like treat it as like design piece, like put like skins or something on it. So it's like, does it really matter if it's like the base version without a design? You could just there's a market for putting a design on your console. But as like I think the first home console that I got with a design on it was when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, and they had like a special edition PS4 Pro. That I didn't have because I think my PS4 was like crapping out. So I was like, well, I guess I'm getting. That was like I'm a big Kingdom Hearts fan, so like at the time I spent a crap ton of money on like the thing I've been waiting for 7 years. So I got like a Kingdom Hearts 3 special edition for Xbox and PlayStation for both of them, and then I also got that Kingdom Hearts 4 PS4. Kingdom Hearts 3 PS4 Pro that I got pissed because I fell asleep on the midnight release of it, and then when I looked at online for like to pre-order it or to buy it, it like was completely sold out, and I was like frustrated in my own room. And it's like, God damn it! I fell asleep I was waiting for that to actually happen, and I debated on going to like the local GameStop to like figure out. I was like, is there like a possible way for me to get it? And I finally decided to go there. This is like done like December of that year, so it's like, well, like what happens after is like a goddamn Christmas miracle. I went to the GameStop and I talked to the manager, who was like the only one there, and then I asked her, I was like, hey, is there like a possible way I can get this? I know I'm like 2 or 3 hours late on this because I fell asleep. And then she was like trying to help me out. It's like, yeah, I was like, yeah, we can get you one. I was like, fucking really? When it was, even on your own website, it said it was sold out. I was like, yeah, we can get you one. It was like, I like did everything. I got my receipt. And it was like, oh, and she just like said, and was like, oh, Merry Christmas. I was like, fucking thank you. And then like now it's like that's like one of the most important things that I have, even though I don't use it. But like I really like the design on it because like ingrained into the actual console. So like that's like my favorite part about like the design consoles. That's like ingrained into the console. So it's like you can't like rub off like the stickers like off of it like in some other things.
Yeah.
But besides the home console, I think the only other console that actually like got the design part for is the 3DS, because it's just like so many of them. I think the first DS that I got is like the same thing me and Angie have. is the Nintendogs version, which is like this light teal blue with like dog paw prints on it. And then I didn't really get anything. I didn't get the the DS SP or no DS Lite or like anything special for DSi. But the 3DS for Christmas, it was a gift from my mom. It was the Pokemon X. Yeah, Pokemon X like blue 3DS, and then afterwards they just started like pumping out all these new ones. And so like, oh, I want the Majora's Mask, and I got that one. And then like recently, actually like 6 months ago, I got the probably the coolest one, which is the Hyrule Shield 3DS. So it's like that's like the only one I use now, because it just functions more. It just functions better than the other two. So now the other two are just like for design, just like because I like the design. I don't use them anymore. But yeah, that's like it's like it's obviously more for functionality. But if it has like a good ingrained design on it, then I might get it. Obviously, the same way as Udon said, it's like if it's available and it's like the current one I have does crap out, I might as well just get the one with the design if I like it.
Right.
Okay. So I guess the next question I'm going to have is going to be about VR headsets. So as we were talking about before about the whole 3D era, the time when they were basically trying to get everybody to start purchasing 3D material, it would be the glasses, the TVs, and all that stuff, and eventually just died off. Do we feel, or do you guys feel that the VR itself might be in the same boat in the future, or do you think that it actually might get more and more advanced to where it ends up taking over? What do you guys think of that?
I mean, I hope maybe I'm just an old soul or something like that, but I think VR is nothing more than just like a fun toy. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. I don't think it's a fad. Clearly, it has way more potential than people give it credit for. I'm just like I'm in this space where it's like it's cool, but it's just a toy. You know, I like no quote unquote real games are being made for VR. They're just like tech demo experiences to me for the most part. And I'm like, wake me up when I can just plug my brain in and I can just do Sword Art Online shit. I really hate drawing that kind of parallel, but that's kind of where I am. I was like, let me just do it where I can plug my brain in and just be in the world with entirely like in separate body and controller and shit, like sci-fi isekai nonsense. But right now, I'm just like, it's a fun toy. That's about it. That's all it is to me. It's clearly going to go places, and maybe we'll get there probably long after we're all dead. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think that VR in like the concept of it being like a mainstream part of our lives, because I see a lot of ads for people like going to the DMV, pulling out their Oculus, and then watching Netflix or something. There is no way in hell that people are going to go into a public place and put a device on their head to where they now have no situational awareness.
Yeah.
And I know that AR Apple thing was trying to be a big leap forward, but they're too expensive. It's not really accessible to the public in a like affordable way. So once they nail that down, but it has to have a purpose. We already have phones. It's not it's not a burden to pull your phone out. I don't need to have like Google glasses on or something like that. And they need to be cool. The thing right now is they're not really fashionable. They're very clunky, and even though they're very advanced, but it's not like something you can carry around. And like, what happens if it just dies on you and it turns off? And it's like, well, I have to carry this thing around until I charge it or something. VR is fun to play games on. I did a VR escape room before. That was kind of neat. Also very funny because of the whole locking me as a 3-foot tall person. But I think the concept is neat to try it out. Doing the AR Mario Kart ride in Japan was kind of cool. Like there's applications to make things fun, but no one's gonna. It's just like a thing you just take out when your friends come over and go, "Hey, check this thing out." And then you put it away and you forget about it for the rest of the year. It's like 3D TVs in a sense. They were cool and they were really trying to push them, but like, it's like, all right, well, how many people have 3D Blu-rays or how many 3D movies are coming out today? They're not doing that anymore. And from my understanding, and I think that there'll still be VR, but just kind of like a fun thingy. And by the way, one of the best ways to experience VR is to do one of those like open room level, like where you actually run around and you're carrying like the light gun. And I've done that a couple times where it's like you're moving through a level, you're fighting zombies, like you and the people, you can see the other people like with you, and it's really like that's so immersive. But you can't do that in your house. You need to have like a 20-foot by 20-foot empty room to like have that kind of fun.
Where you have around $7,000 to have that catwalk,
Omnitread.
Yeah, where there's basically a metal bowl in the center, and you wear these slippers. So as you're moving, you're able to slide as you keep moving, and you're staying in position.
The Omnitread is a really intriguing thing, and maybe if things start looking up, I'll acquire one and put it in my office and get rid of this chair and just play Skyrim and just be super fit from running all over the place. But that is a fun way to do it. You're still kind of confined into one spot, so you're like running in place, which it doesn't feel like an actual treadmill because you're like you have to walk in a weird way because you're walking in a curved surface, but getting to run around in an actual room. I did it at the first Halo convention. They had a 3-on-3 Halo versus match with the Vives, and that was really fun to walk around and like actually fighting other people. It's weird because you're doing it in front of a lot of people, but then one of the other experiences that was really cool was, and I think you did this with me, Jordan, was Disney Quest.
Yes.
Where they had that hero ride. Yeah, the lightsaber thing where you can actually look to your left and right and see the other people that are with you. You're not moving around, but it was really fun. And that was a long time ago. Like that was a neat way to do that. So like as an entertainment like purpose, I think VR will find its way into like amusement parks. Like you can basically have a very cheap amusement park by faking motion rides and stuff like that, so you don't need to have like a
because woe is the future where fucking at the end of all those fucking 3-hour-long lines at Universal is just strapping a fucking thing to your head.
Yeah. Here's your headset, sit down. That'll be they'll still charge you $200.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, man, I want a real roller coaster. Fuck your virtual nonsense.
Well, the thing that'll be interesting though is like the virtual nonsense is where like people that have a lot of social anxiety and stuff will go, and so you probably will see shorter lines at actual amusement parks for the physical roller coaster because they'll be like, "Whoa, that thing's dangerous," and then they'll consider people standing in line to go on like the Harry Potter broom ride is like adrenaline junkies. It's like I don't understand.
Fucking Harry Potter ride was ridiculous.
It's super funny, but it's like it's not even that extreme. But like some people that are just terrified of other people will be like, "Oh, I'm going to the VR park today," where it looks very, very similar to like Wall-E,
Well, I did try the VR thing because they had it at my Dave and Buster's, where they actually do have like I believe it's like a 6-seat deal, 3 in the front, 3 in the back, and the
wizard thing.
Well, they have one where you can choose to do one like a Terminator deal. There's one that you're riding on a dragon, and then there's some other space one or whatever. But I did the dragon one, and you're sitting on you get on a dragon, you have yourself a crossbow, and as you put the headset on, they actually have fans that are like blowing in your face. So as the thing starts to descend, the fans actually blow harder into your face. So it makes it feel like you're really like increasing speed, and you got that complete surrounding around your face as you're trying to shoot your guns. It was quite fun, and the seats are also moving too. So they're individualized. So when you're moving forward, the thing goes forward. As you're going back, right, left, and so forth. So you're kind of like moving along as the screen is doing its deal with the dragon. So you were feeling heavily immersed in it. I wouldn't say that it was like captivating to where I just felt like I was really on a dragon, but it was definitely a lot more different than your average VR, feelings that you would get when you're just sitting in a chair or you're standing up. It was a lot more intense than that.
Yeah, that Dave and Buster's thing, because we did the dragon one too. Corey did not because he's a coward.
I was holding purses.
I was like, yeah, we did it too, but it's like it was not that great. I think it lasted for like a total of like what 5 minutes.
It was,
was like
and you
20
paid
bucks each.
Yeah, it was very expensive. Very expensive.
Thanks for your money. Sit here.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's just like, God, can you imagine going to part? It's like that'll be $200 for your ticket to Universal, and that's all you get is just waiting in line to fucking put a VR headset on your head. I don't know. Like I said, I need to be overlord levels of just plug my entire brain into the virtual matrix simulation. That's the kind of VR I want, not this like weird in between world we find ourselves in now. We're still figuring out how the technology works.
Yeah, the like arcades, from what I've been to recently, at least, the trends that I've seen notice is like there's a lot of mobile games that are just being converted into like arcade things or gigantic versions of like Pac-Man or something. They're like, this is a, that's fun, right? And then you'll see the occasional like, Beat Saber station, like put this headset on that 300 people have put on, and we hope that 15-year-old cleaned it. But I think that the VR headsets would lend themselves more to like the racing games. Like I would love to play Outrun, like just driving 200 miles an hour in a VR headset, like or
Forza,
doing
Horizon,
Forza or something, or like Initial D or Tank would be really fun because those games are kind of designed for that, like that feel, right? Is because they always have like this stuff on screen, like, hey, go, like turn your car, turn left, or look over here. Like playing Crazy Taxi in VR would be nuts.
Oh my god!
I think that'd be so
that would make
fun.
me want to vomit. Are you kidding me?
It would just be so fun. Or playing that like downhill snowboarding game, the one where you stand on the board, like that one was kind of fun. But like having a VR headset to do it, like it just that would really just amp those up. But like I don't see.
I can feel the G forces in real life. I actually feel what it's like to break my neck.
Like I just don't see people like using them for like practical everyday things in like public. Like no one's gonna bust out their like headset at like Chili's while they're waiting for their meal to come.
Did you not see the video of a guy getting pulled over by a cop because he had the Apple VR AR thing on his head while driving?
Oh, was he using a Tesla self-driving thing though? Like either way, I still think it's like one super fucking nerd. Like that's the only thing I could think of when you're doing that shit. Like power to you, but God,
no, you look ridiculous. Stop
I think you're a fucking nerd.
And get a big bank account because also it's fucking expensive.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is you put this headset on, walking around, going, "Please steal this $15,000 equipment that you could just pawn somewhere for whatever reason." Like somebody's just walking around holding all of the money they have in their hands. Like that's all I think about. But maybe I'm just a terrible person. Like that could be the case too. It's like, rob that guy.
You get the same feeling from some dude driving by in a really expensive car. It's just like, oh, that guy has money.
A lot of gold chains on his neck. He's like,
crash into a light pole.
Yeah, there's a reason why you don't just kill rats in a basement constantly in RPGs.
Okay,
eventually you got to move on.
I mean the VR stuff, like the attachments for it, like besides a headset, you need like the feedback vest and like the
knuckles, the hands, knuckles and stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
and then like the treadmill thing, like that's expensive shit. It was like it's obviously going to be obsolete in like a few years because it's always improving. And and like the amusement park thing for VR is like that's really fucking unsanitary. Just like, hey, you want to put on this headset that 200 other people today have put on? I was like, you trust the employees to clean that shit, right? They know how to do their job. They get paid $15 an hour. They'll do it.
You can get one for $1,000, an Omnitread.
I mean, but I was like, it's still expensive. That's two Xboxes.
I could buy like 70 Nendroids with that money. Why would I do that?
I mean, but it's like also just having it casual. It's just like like I said with the Wii, it's like tiresome to like come back from work and to play on that thing.
Oh, never mind. Well, the really nice one that's an Omni One is $3,500 plus shipping.
That's what I'm saying. You have to spend all this money, all these your peripherals on top of peripherals to like emulate 10% of like what the end goal of this whole experience is to just be able to just be in another world, like experience, feel, smell, taste, whatever have you. And I'm just like I'm just at the point like It's the same thing how I feel about game demos. It's just like, wake me up when the full product is here, when it's like actually a thing, when I can just go play Yggdrasil and Overlord or some shit. Like I just want to be able to plug my brain in and be in a different world, not having all this other peripheral nonsense I have to deal with to get like a nerfed version of what I'm expecting, you know.
The other part of it too, right, is the affordability for people to have it. Because like if I bought an Omnitread, if I went and like swiped my credit card, got an Omnitread and everything, got this cool ass game, and be like, guys, this is the best thing I've ever seen. You guys should buy one too, so that we could all play together. So technically, we all have to collectively spend $16,000 so we could play one game together.
Yeah. One
It's
game that's like a tech demo.
And then if we might only play it that Saturday. There's plenty of times where we've bought a game and we're like, hey, let's play this, and then we're like, oh, that was a good session.
Yeah.
Throw that in the trash. It's like this is like buying a used car, and all of us are buying a used car to go to a destruction derby. It just doesn't make any sense.
You know damn well your cats are going to be sleeping on that thing if you buy it.
Oh, for sure. I'll end up punting one because I can't see it.
Caught in it and like can't get out of the Omnitread. Like, why can't I get out?
I was going to say my character has 20 million steps.
Yeah.
So I guess from everybody's perspective, when you guys had first gotten involved with the rumble feature on the controllers, do you guys feel like that was actually a good improvement of gaming? Do you think that actually mattered to you when you guys were playing your video games, or was it just something additional that you're like, I don't need it, I could do without?
I think it's neat. I mean, I never turn it off. I know that you used to, like, you still can turn the rumble features off on stuff, but like 64, you had to put a rumble pack in, and only some games utilized it as like I think in Link, it rumbles when you're close to a secret or something, and then there's some other games that do that, but it's fun, not necessary. It's the same thing for like icons on your phone. When you tap it and your phone does a little, so it's like it's a feedback thing, so that I know I pressed the button. Sometimes it's just funny because you're in a cutscene or whatever, and you set your controller down, and she'll lean back in the couch to watch it. Next thing you know, your controller's going apeshit on the coffee table because like there's an explosion in the cutscene.
I mean, it's kind of tangentially related to VR, right? Because Rumble was like the very early version of just like, we want the player to feel what's happening in the game, so this thing slightly vibrates in your hands, so you really feel like Link is getting his ass kicked.
You put it in your lap.
You sit in your lap.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's home.
I mean, unironically, fucking Metal Gear had a fun use for it when it was like, Snake is like, I'm kind of hurt. Can you send me some medication? And the one lady like tells the player to put it up to their arm, and it rumbles because it's like, does that feel better? Give you like a massage. I'm just like,
It's
that.
like the one time they do that too. It was like, I can just only imagine working on that project. It's like, do we really have to add this part to the game? It's like, yes, it makes it better. Like, oh, okay.
I mean, I guess Rumble has been part of like gaming for so long now, because obviously back in the day, I think the 64, it was starting to be a thing where you had to buy the Rumble pack for you to even have the feature for it to rumble.
Yeah, and even Game Boy Color had a rumble for Pokemon Pinball.
Yeah, so that was like a peripheral you had to buy extra now, but like now you can't imagine a controller that doesn't have an innate rumble feature. And I noticed when it's gone, and primarily to connect it to a different part of this conversation, I notice it when it's gone because that's the first indicator my Xbox controller is running out of battery life, because my rumble will turn off. And I notice it, and I'm just like, why isn't this like, because now every time I'm playing first-person shooter, or any shooter, it rumbles every time you shoot the gun in like any game. So if it's not there, you notice it at this point, but it's like, as far as like, do I feel like it super like upgrades my experience? I don't know. I just give you a shrug on that one. I'm like, it's just baseline to me at this point. I'm just like, if it's not there, I'd find it weird. But at the same time, I'm not like, why isn't this here? But I'd be more questions like, why isn't this here? Like, I don't know. It just should just be there,
Yeah, I mean, for me, I actually enjoyed the rumble feature just for when I was playing these interesting games that had really horrible angles and such, and I was not able to tell what was going on specifically. So if you're being hit or being attacked or something, at least you know something's going on. You hear the voices and such, but I don't know really what's happening. Am I really getting contact of actually being hit? And then having the rumble feature be able to help me be able to figure that out. And so I'd be like, okay, I need to back out, get the hell out of here. I'm getting attacked, so I could be able to sense really what's kind of going on. It was for me that playing games in the past that had none of those features, and then getting that rumble feature and giving that to me was actually quite breathtaking at first. But I could definitely see now that, like how you guys were talking about with the phone, and you're kind of already given that sense way overburdened to the point where it's literally not even, it doesn't even have that same kick or that same feel as it once did before. So you're kind of like, it's there, but I really don't need to have it. I was actually just happy to have that on my game system. If I do, if they don't have it, it kind of is a little bit bothering to me, because it does for me enhance like those cutscenes and such where you're seeing the explosions and such. It does make it a little bit more fun, but I can definitely see that after quite a bit of time of having that feature over long periods of time, it eventually just kind of loses its touch. But for me, it's still there. I still kind of enjoy it. So like whenever I get those games, I kind of really want to be sure that the rumble feature is given. So Edwin, how about yourself? Do you have anything in regard to that?
I mean, the rumble feature is fine, but it's just kind of annoying sometimes. It's like because like it can happen for like more than one thing, so it's like hard to tell like what it's rumbling for. Because like there's like a lot of games where like a lot of stuff can happen at once, and they all trigger the damn rumble feature. It's like I don't know what it's rumbling for. It's just distracting, and especially for like COD. I think after when I played COD regularly, like for a while. It's like it just shook my hands like every time I like shoot the gun. I was like, all right, this is pissing me off and it's throwing off my aim.
That makes sense.
Like, I'm just gonna turn it off.
Yeah.
So it's just very distracting because like it's a stressful game. I was like, I don't need the distraction of my hands rumbling for like seconds at a time while shooting like 30 bullets. It just got annoying. So I was like, now it's like if I have the option, I usually turn it off.
Gotcha. So so I guess the next question I have is, so to everybody, what was your favorite accessory that you gotten? Not purchased. I mean, it can be purchased or given to you as a gift. Which one do you think was the most memorable for you when you had received it?
I mean,
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say it's something that I used a lot, and the camaraderie about it and everything would probably be Rock Band, honestly. Just like it's such an interesting, like it's not a real instrument. I know there's the one out there that's kind of like a real instrument, but it was kind of freaking weird. But like it was such a fun just setup for everybody to use, and everybody liked using it. It was comfortable to play. I put a lot of hours on Guitar Hero and Rock Band and stuff, so like that's probably my favorite, or at least the one that got used the most for its intention. Because like I had a silence or a super scope, I had light guns and everything else, and it's like that would be cool for that one day I was going to play it. But like I played the shit out of Guitar Hero over the years, and so that one has definitely got the most use out of me. Aside that one, the other thing I would say is. And I did use it for a short amount of time, but I had a full 2-turn steering wheel that had resistance for Gran Turismo on PS3, and that was kind of fun to use because it would actually like fight you when you're trying to turn and stuff. So it kind of made the driving feel nice, but I didn't have like a thing to mount it to, so you're kind of just holding it in your lap, and it was a cool, probably the best like experience for like a driving simulator thing. But that Guitar Hero thing is definitely hands down like the most fun for like a weird third-party device that I've ever had.
Yeah. So because you brought up Rock Band, you reminded me of something. This peripheral sucks ass, by the way, but I wanted to bring light to it. So for those of you who don't know, Guitar Hero was available on the Nintendo DS. And out of morbid curiosity, so out of morbid curiosity, I decided to get it one time when I was a kid. And it comes with this peripheral thing that plugs into the Game Boy Advance slot that's supposed to be like your... I don't know if you want to look up a picture
like
of it, Corey, and show it to Eddie. Like, look up a picture of it and see if you can send it in the chat so these other two can see it. Yeah. But so it plugs into the Game Boy Advance slot, and that's like the buttons that you would hold at like the neck of the guitar, the colored buttons. But and you would strum with your stylus on the bottom screen, so you would strum and hold the button at the same time. But it is so damn small, it makes your hand cramp so badly. It is the most uncomfortable thing in the universe. I hated it so much. It was so bad. I can't understand how anyone dealt with that. Like, they had to create a whole peripheral just to get this game to work, and it's the most uncomfortable thing in the universe. Hated that. But, I mean, I hate to retread old ground, but probably the peripheral I liked and used the most was my Game Boy player on the GameCube, and that's just because, as I've said before, I played so much Pokemon, and they were only on the main series was only on the portable Game Boy and stuff like that back then, and I just liked the ability to play it on my television when I was at home instead of having to hold the Game Boy in a corner of my room or something. I could just plug it into the GameCube and play it that way. I just got a lot of use out of it.
Yeah.
That and what?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying. Yeah, I agree with you because I was the same thing. I as soon as that was unlocked, because again, we were playing the Pokemon Stadium, being able to play that in your back of your controller, like Pokemon Yellow and such. To be able to level up your Pokemon and go fight in the Pokemon Stadium. Now that you had that availability to play whatever game on your TV now because of the GameCube, that was a huge involvement of me playing that a lot over at Corey's house, because when he got that, I was playing it all the time, playing just Game Boy Advance games.
Yeah, I use that a lot along with like the trading cord and stuff like that, but that's about it because like I said, I didn't have a whole lot of it growing up. Definitely the e-reader was not very useful, so that would be my answer, is the Game Boy player for the GameCube.
Edwin?
I can't really think of much. I didn't have like the Rock Band. My sister did have the DDR like pads, but personally, I don't think I've ever had anything like that to attach to a console just to change anything. It's like I don't really have a lot to add, but like the closest thing that I could think of is just the action replay, I guess.
No, that does count. That's a peripheral, just to let you cheat. I mean, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I had completely forgotten about my action replay. I did have one for the DS. Again, mainly used to just cheat Pokemon. And I'm just like, I want 900 Master Balls, But yeah, no, I had completely forgotten about the action replay. That thing is so much fun to fuck around with games with.
Yeah, it's like but they all like work in different ways because Nintendo's trying to put a stop to it. So it's just funny that they have to like keep switching out how it works, so it does get confusing sometimes. But that's pretty much the only thing I got.
Okay. All right. So, are we good to jump onto some trivia?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So let's go ahead. The first question I have for everybody is: the accessory designed for the Nintendo GameCube to play Game Boy Advance games on a TV is A, GameCube broadband adapter, B, GameCube Game Boy player, C, Game Boy Advance link cable, or D, GameCube Wavebird controller.
B.
D sounds really cool.
I apologize, I spaced out for a second. What was the question?
The accessory designed for the Nintendo GameCube to play Game Boy Advance games on the TV.
Oh, yeah, B.
Yes, the answer was B, GameCube Game Boy player. Question number 2. The Sega Dreamcast had an innovative accessory that acted as a memory card with a screen and could be used as a standalone handheld device. What was it called? Was it A, the Visual Memory Unit VMU, B, Dreamcast Pocket Station, C, Dreamcast Microscreen, or D, Sega Pico?
I'm going to say VMU.
I'm going to say B.
Yeah, I'll stick with Corey.
Answer was A, Visual Memory Unit, VMU.
Woo!
All right, the third and final question. Sony's PlayStation 2 featured an accessory that allowed for online gaming by providing an Ethernet port. What was the name of this device? Was it A, PlayStation 2's online adapter, B, broadband connector, C, network adapter, or D, Ethernet link?
I want to say C.
I want to say C too.
Yeah, C.
I don't know why.
Answer was C, PlayStation 2 network adapter.
Oh man, 100% today.
Real quick before we move on to like pack openings, I just wanted to give, because this whole episode is basically inspired by
the honorable mention.
Well, a couple honorable mentions, because let's talk about the Game Boy really quick, because that thing was just like as I agree with what Corey described it as earlier in our chat, the Voltron of like all these weird peripherals you could have for it. I just wanted to bring to light a few of them, especially since me and Corey saw a particularly rare one while I was visiting in this game store. I saw it in a case. Unfortunately, it wasn't for sale, but it was just a display piece. But one of the peripherals you could have for the original Game Boy / Game Boy Color was like this cartridge and this adapter that lets you plug it into a sewing machine in order to have you it helps you sew like Nintendo patterns into a sweater. It's a
full-sized sewing machine.
Yeah.
It's not like a little Nintendo cute Game Boy sewing machine. It's just a big-ass sewing machine. And I've never seen this thing or even heard about it.
I had heard about it before, quite a few times actually, because Did You Know Gaming. But I had never seen one before. It was so cool to see it. And according to the guy at the counter, the thing runs you like $1,000 or something like that.
Oh my god!
But Corey was just like, that better be the best goddamn sweater I've ever made. But it's just so interesting, because I'm going to name off a few other like weird peripherals the Game Boy had, but that was just one of the weirdest ones, and I thought it was so cool to see it in person because I've never seen it before.
Yeah, it was also in really good condition. Like,
it was
like brand new. It took me by surprise at first, because I was just looking at the stuff in the case, because they just had a bunch of random shit like the VHS for the Donkey Kong show or whatever, and I was like, what the hell is this sewing machine there for?
I pointed it out to you because when I saw it, I knew what it was immediately. I was like, hey, check this out. And you were like, what's this? I'm like, it's a sewing machine for the Game Boy.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell? I just thought, because it was like a trade-in store or something, I just like, well, maybe somebody traded in a sewing machine, and that was it.
I remember I got a Game Boy camera, and God, did that take horrible pictures.
Oh, that was one of the ones I was going to name, the little Game Boy camera and printer, where it printed out
black
and bunch of stuff like horrible. They were terrible on like this like receipt paper, because the thing was only the size of your hand, because it was only the size of the Game Boy. But it would go with other things, like you could print Pokemon stuff on it, I think, but also work with a bunch of other things. But it was this own little thing it plugged into the back.
Paper.
Yeah, it was a little wreath of paper, but it was like old-fashioned like receipt paper. It was like really tiny and thin, like it was horrible.
I remember the commercial for it, because it was like the cool kid at school was like snapping photos and whatnot and like printing them out, and everyone's like, "You're so cool, Ryan!" And it's just like, if I brought that to school, I would just get bullied. Like that's all it would have been.
Once again, it's just like the weirdest thing.
Dick pics and
he's just like, hey, check this out.
I was like, here's the picture, man.
Get all the angles.
Hey,
so here's another one.
Do that.
So this is the Game Boy Pocket Sonar. The Game Boy Pocket Sonar is a peripheral for this is via Wikipedia, by the way, because I've heard about this one. Is a peripheral for the Nintendo Game Boy made by Bandai that was used to locate fish up to 20 meters underwater for the sport of fishing, and contained a fishing minigame. It was released in Japan in 1998 but never released internationally. It was the first sonar-enabled gaming accessory.
Wow.
That was real.
My dad probably used that.
That's so weird.
It's just so funny, because it's just like, yes, what every fisherman needs is their Game Boy to bring with them to help them locate the fucking fish and the Loch Ness Monster, apparently.
All right, Timmy, let's see what the fish is.
Yeah.
Oh, and then one other like weird thing that we saw was the Panasonic Edition GameCube / CD player.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. I forgot about that. That thing was so cool.
It was, I didn't even know that thing existed, but like the fact that it was just chilling there, also brand new condition. It's like, holy crap, a non-Nintendo GameCube? Like, that's wild.
Yeah, so it was like a game. It was a collaboration between Nintendo and Panasonic. So like it was like part CD and DVD player slash GameCube, but it was like all one thing. So it was a GameCube, but it doesn't look like a GameCube. It looks like a CD player. I had never known that was a thing. So when I saw it, I was like, that is so fucking cool. I love that. It's so neat.
Was that released in the U.S.?
I don't know.
Oh.
I think there's
I
only
would
like a
assume
handheld.
so.
Because I sure as hell don't remember anything like that.
Less than 100,000 units.
Oh, so here's a fun one. Because they had a whole episode on Did You Know Gaming for this next one. So this thing's called the Work
Send a
Boy.
picture of it in the chat.
Yeah, look at that shit in the chat. I mean, people at home can't see it, but unless Corey wants to edit this episode where you can see it. But it looks nutty. It looks like an old like CD player I used to have.
It looks like something from the Jetsons, honestly.
Yeah.
It looks like a bigger version of a GameCube.
So here's an unreleased accessory for the Game Boy, which I wanted to bring up because Did You Know Gaming had a whole episode for this thing, which I thought was like super interesting. It's called the Work Boy. The Work Boy was a small device with a keyboard that would have connected to the Game Boy via its link cable port, allowing the handheld to be used like a personal digital assistant, so a PDA for all you old people out there like us. The Workboy was designed by Source Research and Development, and prototypes were produced by Fabtech. The unit was shown at the 1992 Electronic Consumer Show and had been planned for release in late 1992, but the product was canceled after Nintendo lowered the price of the Game Boy to around what Fabtech was hoping to charge for their device. So basically, this thing was so expensive it would have cost you the same amount of money as it would have for the Game Boy itself, and they thought it was going to bomb, so they just canceled it. And Did You Know Gaming actually recently only came into contact. There was only a few prototypes made of this thing, but it was just so weird because like this thing could check the stock market. It could check your email and stuff like that, like a Game Boy. I was like, why would you go through all this trouble to have your Game Boy be a PDA instead of just getting a PDA? You know. But I thought that one was interesting. I just thought that was cool.
He was like, you already got the marketing for the kids, now you got to get marketing for the adults.
That's kind of the reasoning for it was they were trying to market it towards workers because ironically that was kind of like the idea behind the Game and Watch, which was like the predecessor to the Game Boy in general, was like something for people to take on the go that doesn't look like a game console, so you can just whip it out when you're on the train or whatever and just not be bored on your commute. So businessmen could like use it and not be embarrassed, I guess. But yeah, those were just a few of the fun ones I wanted to bring up for the Game Boy peripherals, just because I thought they were really interesting.
All right.
There's tons more on here, but we actually covered quite a lot of them, like the Game Shark Action Replay and the trading link cables and whatnot. So,
okay. All right. Does everybody got their game app open?
I will in a second, so you guys can go first.
Okay. I really need some freaking water electric Pokemon on mine, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the Pikachu genetic Apex pack.
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and give it a shot. I'm going to open the pack now.
I'm going to open the same pack as well.
Okay. Give me a
I've
second.
been having no luck at all with the Mewtwo one, so...
Alrighty, so I got a Dub Wool, a Mienfoo, Paras, a Zebstrika, a Seadra. Damn it. Fuck.
Okay.
I really need a fucking Staryu, like badly. I got all these Starmies, but I got no fucking Staryu.
I had the opposite. I had an EX Staryu, but I couldn't use it.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
so I'm at the pack selection screen and with the circle of packs that you can pick one. This is the first time it's happened, but there's two of them that are automatically backwards. That's the first time I've seen that. So
I've had it to where it's been like 3 or so. I've had a lot that were backwards at once.
All right, I got a Sandslash, Swoobat, Raichu, Electabuzz, and then a Woobat. Fuck, I need a Jolteon.
You doubled up. All right, I'm going to open a Charizard pack. Woobat. Froakie. What is it? Zeb Strika?
Zeb
I already have
Strika.
one. He's not bad. I already have that set though. Staryu
Hey,
and
once they open
Tauros.
up that trading feature,
Tauros.
I have my sound turned up. Hopefully you can hear it. But I'm gonna open up a Charizard pack myself because I'm trying to fish for a full art Sabrina card. It's very
I kind
pretty.
of wish they would tell me where the cards are that I'm missing, what packs to open.
Meltan, Magmar, Minchino, Pinurchin. Ooh, and a Victory Bell. I didn't have a Victory Bell. At least I got something new.
I did not.
I opened up a second pack of the Pikachu one, and Nidoran, Boy, Grappaloct, Magikarp, Doduo, and a Hypno. So I got a Hypno and a Raichu as a new cards for me.
Raichu would be good. At first, I thought that you said you got a boy.
Yeah, Nidoran.
Yeah, but the way you said it was like Nidoran, boy, and it's like
Boy.
which card?
Oh.
Yeah. Is that just that's a colorless energy. Just uses cry a lot.
Can't have podcast luck twice in a row, I guess. I can't pull another God pack.
Alrighty, so we all got our cards out?
Yeah.
Yep.
Alrighty, so, well, I guess we'll be wrapping it up. Be sure to follow us on Spotify, Twitter, and YouTube channel to be notified of new episodes. Rate us 5 stars if you enjoyed today's episode, and don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel. And for all you gamers out there, just remember to keep exploring, keep playing, and keep listening. Until next time, this is the Mediocre Rumble Brothers podcast signing off. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey, this is Corey, and thanks for checking out Mediocre Rumble Brothers. If you liked the video, please drop a like, and if you didn't, that's fine too. If you'd like us to talk about any specific games, drop a comment below, or feel free to discuss your experience with the games that we've mentioned in the episode. You can also listen to our episodes prior to YouTube on our Spotify. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again soon.